Hi, TheSuffolkRam here from Round Nerds. Welcome to my review of the Doctor Who 2023 Christmas special, The Church on Ruby Road. Maybe some minor spoilers ahead, so if it's spoiled, please turn off now. So this is also the introductory episode where we get to meet Millie Gibson playing Ruby Sunday, the new companion, and obviously we get Nucti Gatwa's first proper foray as Doctor. Obviously we saw a little bit of him in the last of the Giggle episode. This is where we get to see him properly acting as the Doctor. And obviously Christmas special again. Nice to have Doctor Who back on a Christmas Day. It's where it should not be, Doctor Who on a Christmas Day. We haven't had this for such a long time. It's really nice to see it back on Christmas Day. Unfortunately, I did find the episode rather, if I had one word to say for it, rather meh. I felt the pacing was a bit too rapid. It felt like it didn't flow quite right. It just felt a bit too quick in many ways. The overall plot line I felt was rather weak in many ways, mainly because I like the sort of rough idea of what they're trying to get across, but the big issue for me was the sort of like big villain, the Goblins in the episode, which you'll know from thing. They just there's no personality to them. There's no sort of, they're very one-dimensional. They're no sort of background. They're just like, they're there. And they're here and they're stealing kids and they like coincidences and there's a rather awful song and dance routine midway through which is just pretty awful, and it's just a little bit meh really, if I'm honest. I just had no sort of real investment in them because when you have to give your bad guys a reason, a personality, you've got to give them some sort of depth to them. When they're just like faceless creatures, and they didn't look particularly good either. They're sort of, it was just sort of very basic. When there's no sort of like personality or like someone to root for, and they're not particularly sinister or scary. I mean, take like the Borg in Star Trek, when the Borg first introduced, where they had no sort of like, they had no personality, but the fact that they looked sinister was very scary. You do the same for these Goblins, and they just give them a song and dance routine. It just doesn't really work. So it was a particularly interesting episode. Plus side, I mean, we got to see how new Doctor's going to sort of behave. Nucti Gatwa. I think he's definitely playing a very different Doctor, also a lot younger Doctor, which makes an awful lot of difference. Trying to get a new personality across, and that does sort of work well because every Doctor's got a personality, and he's different enough that it's going to be interesting. So Ruby, when I first saw the previews of Ruby, I wasn't too keen, to be honest. But seeing her sort of like being acted out, so I'm a lot more interested in her. I think her character's a little bit more to work with than a character. But yeah, I'll be honest with you, it's a very nothing episode. It sort of got to the end, it just never felt like it never felt like it really built up to something. It's sort of like it started off with a little bit of drama and tension, then it's all like resolved, then it's like a bit random stuff, timey-wimey stuff, and then it just never felt like it developed properly. It felt very half-hearted. Very unusual for Russell T Davies episode. It just felt very sort of rough in many ways. It is setting some things up. I'm assuming the mystery of who Ruby's mother is going to be at some point resolved over the next series. There's also a little bit of spoiler for the end. There is some sort of stuff involving the neighbour as well. It's going to be interesting seeing what happens later on, I think this is sort of setting stuff up, and it's always challenging when you're setting up a new Doctor, new companion and so forth. But you look at like the other sort of introductory episodes, like, Rose and the original Doctor, Christopher Eccleston, they did a fantastic job of sort of setting up the personality stuff and sort of a proper threat and so forth, and had some real sort of like story beats going up. And again, another example, Matt Smith and Kieran Gillen, that was fantastic first episode, real setup stuff, and just didn't have the story beats going for it. So yeah, I have to say, unfortunately, it didn't really resonate very well with me. So on to production. The pirate ship I thought looked really cool. Not a great deal amount of big CGI. Obviously got like little incidental, there's a flat getting big crack through, which obviously done through CGI and stuff, which looked quite good. But as this pirate ship looked pretty darn good. The Goblins themselves looked a bit shit, if I'm honest. They didn't really quite work, and the King Goblins, again, you got King Goblin, but it has no personality, it just didn't really work. And I'm not sure what Seeing Goblins were about. That was just a bit random and weird. It was just a little bit It all looked a bit pantomime, a bit naff. Maybe that's what Studios was going for, but it just didn't feel right. So yeah, overall it was a bit poor production-wise, and it didn't really work too well. Yeah, it wasn't great. It wasn't great at all. A bit on to cast and crew. So obviously this is Nucti Gatwa's first proper episode. And in actual fact, I think he did a pretty good job. Got his personality across as a more younger, dynamic Doctor. I think he's going to be a good Doctor. Actually, I'm looking forward to seeing how the series develops more and so forth, and building on his character and so forth. He seems to have not quite sort of the hold-ups that some of the previous Doctors have had in terms of background and so forth. He seems a bit more open, but you get the feeling that his overall friendliness is hiding a loneliness underneath, which is a recurring theme through the Doctor for many years, that he's basically ultimately quite lonely, and he picks up these wanderers in the form of his companions to take with him and stuff. And you get the feeling Nucti Gatwa, his Doctor, is going to be compensating for that by being really over the top and really friendly and really sort of like bubbly to overcompensate for the fact that he's rather lonely. We also had Millie Gibson as Ruby Sunday. Again, looking at the previews, I thought her character just looked a little bit, yeah. Now, but actually, now seeing the flesh and properly worked out, I'm a little more keen on her. Seeing where she develops from and seeing a bit more interest. I'm looking to see where she develops from. Obviously, this is the first episode, meeting them both, so, you know, it's very much the raw beginnings, but I'm very much thinking how they develop later on. Wasn't really much the way sort of side characters so much in this one. You've got Ruby's family in here as well. When they both good, I mean, I like the old mother going on about her tea. I thought that was quite amusing, but pretty gone good. This is directed by Mark, and I'm going to try and pronounce his surname properly right, Mark Tonderai. So he's done a couple previous episodes. He did a lot of some Judy Whittaker's episodes. He did the Ghost Monument and Rosa. Ghost Monument I actually quite enjoyed. It was a bit different, a bit sort of trying something a bit different, and actually didn't feel very Doctor Who, but it worked quite well. I quite like Ghost Monument. Rosa was okay, but a bit too heavy-handed in what it's trying to get across. But I feel his direction in this was a bit too rapid. There's a lot of cutting and jumping about. It felt like this episode could have been done being a few minutes longer, just to sort of flesh each scene out. The pacing just felt a bit off. But overall, I actually fairly enjoyed the direction episode, so it was all pretty good. So final thoughts, this was as first Doctor and companion episodes go, this was a very meh episode. You look back, you had 9th Doctor and Rose, and that was a good first episode. You have 11th Doctor and Amelia Pond, and who played by Karen Gillian, not Kieran Gillian. I got that completely wrong, Karen Gillian. That worked really well as well, and introduced characters was really exciting. And then also you had like Judy Whittaker in as the sort of meeting her companion and so forth, and that was an okay episode and very enjoyable. This, however, was just a little bit. It didn't feel like it quite landed it. It didn't quite land it. So I'm looking forward to the new series. I'm going to see what happens in May when we get the new series start proper. But this was not a great first episode or great introductory episode to the new Doctor and new companion. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this little video review. If you have, perhaps you'd like to consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. You can check out our podcast. Our next one is on the 4th of January, where we'll be discussing what the games are Christmas and that'll be first of our New Year one. So it'd be lovely if you could join us for that. So that you can check out here on YouTube or on twitch.tv/rannerds. You can also check out me on our games night, twitch.tv/TheSuffolkRam. Check out our games night there. Hopefully we'll see you there, and we'll be playing hopefully some more For the King. So thank you very much for watching. Please check out our other stuff, and if you've enjoyed it, please subscribe to the channel. So until then, until the future, until May, when I get really excited reviews start up, I look forward to seeing you then. Thank you.